Hello, Anka Daily News viewers. Today we bring you a shocking reality that the Kremlin is desperately trying to hide. Russian citizens no longer want to bear the cost of war and are fleeing the country in unprecedented numbers. Soldiers are deserting the front lines while civilians rush to the borders to escape authoritarian repression. This massive wave of immigration is the clearest sign of how Putin has led his country into disaster. In recent days, thousands of Russian citizens have begun fleeing to Georgia, Kazakhstan, Finland, and even Latin American countries. But why is this happening? How has Putin's war broken his own people? What are those who flee leaving behind? And most importantly, how will this mass exodus shape Russia's future? Before we dive into the details, a quick reminder. At Anka Daily News, we bring you the truth. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss our daily reports. No matter how much the Kremlin tries to hide the facts, we will continue to uncover them for you. Putin's decision to invade Ukraine has not only been disastrous on the battlefield, but has also created chaos within Russia itself. The Russian people can no longer bear the burden of this war. With each passing day, new sanctions, economic crises, and increasing political repression are pushing millions of people to seek a way out. The Russian economy has suffered severe blows since the war began. Western sanctions have forced many international companies to leave Russia. This has left the younger population unemployed. The middle class is disappearing and people are struggling to make ends meet. Inflation has skyrocketed and the prices of basic goods have become unaffordable for ordinary Russians. Many small and medium-sized businesses have gone bankrupt due to the collapse of the economy. The Russian ruble has lost a significant portion of its value, making it difficult for the country to import necessary goods. Wealthy elites who once benefited from Putin's rule are now transferring their assets abroad in fear of further instability. But the issue is no longer just economic. In today's Russia, even speaking freely is dangerous. The government has zero tolerance for anti-war sentiments. Anyone who publicly criticizes the war faces immediate arrest. Journalists are either fleeing the country or being silenced. People are afraid to even express their own thoughts in their own homes. Social media platforms are heavily monitored, and independent news sources have been shut down. The Russian government has enacted strict censorship laws, preventing the dissemination of any information that contradicts official Kremlin narratives. Citizens who speak out against the war, even in private conversations, risk being reported to the authorities by informants. This is why so many Russians see no future in Putin's Russia and are choosing to leave. From the very beginning, Putin tried to justify his invasion of Ukraine under the term special military operation. But the Russian people now see the truth. They are in a full-scale war, and they are losing. The ones who are most afraid are the young men of Russia. Since the war started, young men across the country have been desperately trying to avoid the draft. Last year, hundreds of thousands of them rushed to the borders of Georgia and Kazakhstan to escape forced conscription. Some even had to bribe officials to leave the country. No one wants to be sent to the front line because the reality of the battlefield is terrifying. Ukrainian forces continue to inflict heavy losses on Russian troops, soldiers who manage to escape, those who are captured, and even those who return from war tell of the horrors they've experienced. Russian soldiers are starving. Due to logistical failures, food supplies are scarce, ammunition and weapons are running out. Compared to Ukraine's modern Western-supplied weapons, Russian soldiers are forced to fight with outdated and unreliable equipment. Medical treatment is nearly non-existent. Field hospitals are so overwhelmed that many wounded soldiers die from blood loss before they can receive help. Entire battalions have been wiped out within days due to poor military planning. Some Russian soldiers have reportedly refused to fight, surrendering to Ukrainian forces instead. The morale within the Russian military is at an all-time low, and as casualties rise, the pressure on the Kremlin increases. In recent months, border crossings into Georgia and Kazakhstan have been overwhelmed. Russians are packing up their belongings and heading to border checkpoints in record numbers. Some are even attempting to cross on foot. Countries like Kazakhstan, Georgia, Finland, and Serbia have accepted millions of Russian refugees since the war began. But now, even these nations are starting to limit the number of Russians they allow in. Reports indicate that some Russian men have disguised themselves as tourists to escape conscription. Others have paid thousands of dollars to smugglers to secure their passage out of the country. The desperation is evident as people sell their possessions just to afford a way out. And it's not just neighboring countries. Many Russians are fleeing as far as Latin America and even Africa. Moscow's airports are filled with people purchasing one-way tickets, leaving Russia behind for good. Families are being torn apart, with parents sending their children abroad to ensure their safety. But what are they leaving behind? Their homes, their families, their entire lives. And yet, for many, escaping Putin's Russia is worth the sacrifice. The Russian people no longer believe in Putin. Millions who initially supported the war, having fallen for Kremlin propaganda, now see the truth. The once strong nationalist support for the war is crumbling as reality sets in. Soldiers' funerals are increasing, and more families are questioning why their sons are dying in a war that brings them nothing but misery. Putin's greatest fear is losing the support of his own people. This is why this government is increasing repression. New laws are being passed to prevent people from leaving. Travel restrictions on men of military age are tightening. The Kremlin is also ramping up social media censorship, trying to silence opposition. Police raids are increasing, spreading fear among the population. Despite these efforts, people are still finding ways to leave. The Russian black market has seen a surge in fake documents and illegal border crossings. Some Russians are using underground networks to escape, similar to those seen during past authoritarian regimes. Putin's government may try to prevent people from fleeing, but the signs of collapse are already visible. Protests, though quickly suppressed, have erupted in multiple cities. Discontent is growing not only among civilians, but also within Russia's elite circles. Throughout history, wars have triggered mass immigrations. However, the scale of this Russian exodus is unprecedented. Never before has a modern superpower seen its citizens flee in such large numbers in such a short time. Putin's greatest source of power, public support, is eroding rapidly. If this trend continues, the war will not only be lost on the battlefield, but could also bring the Kremlin itself to collapse. Now we ask you, can Putin stop the millions who are fleeing? Could this mass immigration lead to an internal rebellion against the Kremlin? How long can the Russian people endure a war they no longer believe in? Will this be the breaking point for Putin's rule? Share your thoughts in the comments. We at Anka Daily News will continue to bring you the latest updates. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications. The truth will come out no matter how hard the Kremlin tries to hide it.